into that fire, you do that bit, and I'll do the stage bit. He says, what? They're in? Who's in? The punters. I will, you tell me I've got my bloody work to do. It's bloody ridiculous, so it is. No, I mean, you know, I come out, I've told him about my bad leg. I've showed him, it's all swelled up like a balloon. I give him the doctor's line. He's still got me up and down these stairs like a whore's drawers, honest to God. Sharon, put the kettle on, hen, and the tea and sugar's in that wee blue locker under the sink there. Aye, and if you look in my shopper there, there's 2 cream cookies with one of them's got your name on it, hen. What? I says one of them's got your... Oh, for God's sake, it's just a wee joke. She's no the brightest, you know. Oh, some dirty buggers done that, really. Oh, no, it's all right, you know, it's all right. But I've got to clean it up. No, but you know, there's a lot of big stars come on this stage. I mean, you're talking artists of high calibrity here, you know. One day at a time, sweet, you know. You're talking the creme de la creme here, you know. But, because you only see them, you see them when they're on here and they're doing their business, you know. See, you don't see them when they go off. They're sweating, so they are. Sweating. God bless their energy, that's all I can say. Do you know, it reminds me of the time when I had the 6 cleaning jobs. And at the same time, I was doing a degree course in the Open University. I done R.S. McCall's in Byers Road. 2 wee lady buddies in Hindland, a doctor's surgery in Partick, and Mr. Hurry the Undertaker in Maryhill Road. Do you know him? Oh, aye, he does a lovely mahogany. Mind you, it wasn't bad, you know, because it left me the rest of the day to attend my tutorials, you know. I graduated last year in corporate law and accountancy. Mind you, of course, I had to give up a lot of my wee jobs when I started up the business. Well, I mean, it was too much for my leg, you know. What with administrating the properties in Majorca and the condom in Lanzarote, you know. No, but funny, I never left this wee job. No, I never left this wee job. I mean, I couldn't give up show business. Oh, look at that, it's a nice wee lass here, look at her. Oh, she's lovely. Look at the wee short hair, isn't it? She's maybe had a bad perm cut out. Oh, she's lovely, but isn't she? Go on, turn round and let the folks see your face. Give them a wee smile, hen. Oh, she's lovely, aye. Her hair's that short. She's like Peter Pan, isn't she? I used to be like Peter Pan, but my pants petered out. Look at that as well. She's got on her tartan sequin. She'll be all right for the hug me, that would it? And who is it you're playing for the night, hen?
Dorothy Paul.
Who?
Dorothy Paul.
God, I thought she was dead. Well, that's a bloody good one, isn't it? Here, I hope she never heard what I said about her there. Oh, no, she'll be too busy putting her false eyelashes on. Aye, oh, see, that's her. Dorothy Paul. God, still sticking it out, eh?
My mama done told me when I was in pigtails. My mama done told me a man's gonna big talk, he'll give you the big eye. But when that sweet talking's done, a man is a two-faced, a worrisome thing who'll leave you to sing the blues.
No. No, I mean, it's a kind of long song, that. You know, I can't be bothered with long songs. It's like when you go to a party and somebody stands up and says, I'll sing my way, I always go to the toilet. No, but it goes on for a fortnight, doesn't it? I mean, by the time he gets to the third verse, you don't care what way he did it. Mind you, he was lucky he did it his way. When I was a wee girl, you did it the way your mother told you to do it. Well, that's what it was like in an East End of Glasgow upbringing. And I'll never understand why I became an actress, because you were always told not to draw attention to yourself. For instance, standing in the queue the first day of the C&A January sale. Mummy, can I get a red coat? Mummy, I would like a red coat. Mummy, please, can I get a red coat? My wee pals get a red coat. Mummy, I want a red coat. No, you can't get a red coat. You'll just draw attention to yourself. The doctor's surgery before the National Health Service. Right now, when you go in to see this doctor, just keep your mouth shut. Say nothing. Good morning, Dr. Brown. It's funny how your mother always put on that I'm a respectable wee woman voice when she saw the doctor. Good morning, Mrs. Sing me. That's another funny thing. The doctor always smelled of medicine. And what seems to be wrong with the little girl this morning? Well, doctor, she's got an inflamed throat. Open your mouth, little girl. Come on now, open wide. And what have you been giving her up to now, Mrs. Hang on. Well, doctor, I just sent out for 6 months worth of ipecacuanha wine, syrup of squills and glycerine. And I wrapped her throat up and her feathers all soaked. Oh, that'll be fine. That'll be perfect. That'll be 10 shillings, please. Thank you very much, doctor. Thank you very much. That was a right showing up you gave me in there. Well, you told me not to open my mouth. See, that's you. You're always drawing attention to yourself. Your first day at the school. It's a nice wee school. Nice wee desk. Nice wee seat. Nice wee girl sitting beside you. What's your name? My name's June. Oh, that's a nice name. What's your name? My name's Dorothy. Oh, that's a nice name too. No talking, children. That was a teacher. Miss Brown, no relation to the doctor. Now, Miss Brown was a very severe woman. She had a bun at the back of her head. She was one of God's unclaimed treasures. An unwed haddock. A single fish. Now, children, I want you to sit perfectly still and quiet, with your hands firmly clasped behind your backs. Where's your daddy? My daddy's in the war. Is your daddy in the war? No, my daddy's in the house. My daddy wanted to join the war, but the man says he was too old, so he's just in the ARP. What's the ARP? I don't know, but you get a helmet and a hatchet. What are you talking there, girl? Yes, miss. Come out here. Now, Miss Brown was a sadist in her spare time. The Gestapo. Black bread. Heil Hitler. Mind you, she was on Hitler's side. She had a better chance of winning the war. Hold out your hand, girl. You're not even 5. doing? I wasn't doing anything. You must have been doing something. I was only talking. See, that's you. You're always drawing attention to yourself. And then you got your reading book. And we were just a wee ragamuffin wains that lived up a stair in a close, you know, with a dirty old back court and dirty old middens. But the reading book depicted Jill and John, who lived in a country cottage with roses round the door, hollyhocks growing tall in the garden, and Mummy standing at the door with a clean penny and a hot apple tart in her hand. And Daddy with a good job, coming home every night with a paper under his arm. The children running delightedly to meet him. And Spotty Dog jumping up and down for joy. And then you always knew what everybody's sitting room decor was like. You know, because your book was covered in the spare wallpaper. But then, of course, if you were a deprived child, your book was covered in the news of the world. Oh, but Miss Brown, she put a stop to that. Because you see that the news of the world was the big scandal paper. I mean, there was no such thing in those days as the quickie divorce. Oh, no. Your business was plastered up and down in columns in the news of the world. And it would say something like, so-and-so divorced so-and-so, citing so-and-so as co-respondent. And at the bottom it always said, intimacy took place. What does intimacy took place? Get to your bed. Aye, by God, you picked that up quick enough, eh? She didn't get that out of the Sunday Post. Oh, I learned very quickly. Aided and abetted by my big sister, Betty. Now, Betty, she worked in the just as well they haven't got them now, because I can't see it. The hat department of the C&A. And she was very posh, and she was a black frock, yes, modern and all that, you see. And my sister used to get free seats for a Monday night in the Empress Theatre in Glasgow. And she used to take me to see all the plays and the pantomimes. And I remember once she took me to see that pantomime, Dick Whittington. You know the one, you know. Here we are, puss, 10 miles from London and still no sign of Dick. They've done it here, you know. Oh, and I remember watching the principal boy, and she was doing the dancing and the singing, and I was thinking to myself, oh, I'd like to be her, you know. And I said to my sister, how much will she get paid for that? My sister said, about £8 a week. And I thought, £8 a week? And then my daddy, he used to take me to see the dancing and the singing pictures. And I'd see Jean Kelly and Sid Charisse doing all the dancing and the singing. I'd be sitting there and I'd be thinking to myself, you're getting £8 a week. You know? It's great. Oh, but I love the pictures. And I mean, you could go to the pictures 3 and 4 times a week. It was great. The nightly ones and a wee polka sweeties. And then there was always the commissionaire, you know, the wee commissionaire. And you'd have the burgundy livery, you see, and you'd have the wee peaked cap and the wee moustache and the epaulettes, what's it? The epaulettes, yes. And the gold buttons, and of course you'd have the brown sauce stain down the lapel, you know. They were striding about there, you know, and putting everyone in their seats, and he looked a cross between the student prince and Hermann Göring, you know. And then when you were all sitting there enjoying the picture, he'd come up and spray everybody with DDT. You remember that, don't you? Oh, but I love the pictures. My daddy's taking me to the pictures tonight. Where are you going? We're going to the Orient. I'm not allowed to go to the Orient. Why not? Because my mummy says it's a flea pit. What's a free pit? I don't know, but my mummy says you go in with a coat and you come out with a jacket. And my daddy says that you're itching to get in and scratching to get out. Oh, but I love the pictures. And my very favourite was Clark Gable. He was my boyfriend.
Dear Mr. Gable, I am writing this to you, and I hope that you will read it so you'll know. My heart beats like a hammer, and I stutter and I stammer every time I see you at the picture show. I guess I'm just another fan of yours, and I thought I'd write and tell you so. You made me love you. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. You made me love you, and all the time you knew it. I guess you always knew it. You made me happy sometimes. You made me sad. But there were times you made me feel so glad. You made me sigh for I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to tell you. I want some love that's new. Yes, I do. You know I do. Indeed I do. Give me what I cry for. You know you got the brand of kisses that I die for. You know you made me love you.
Take that wash and who's key up to Mrs. Addy. I'm away to see Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind, Mummy, with Clark Gable in it. Oh, Mummy, can I come too? He's my favourite. You're too young. I'm not too young. He took me to see that picture with Bette Davis in it. When she was kidding on, she was her sister, and she wasn't her sister because she threw her sister out of the Ori boat and into the water. And I didn't even like it, and I wasn't too young. What about the school in the morning? I hate the school. And I hate the brownies as well. And I hate Bette Davis because you always say that I look like her. Now, Jerry, why should we ask for the moon when we have the stars? What did I say? I know. Take the washing house kit to Mrs. Addy. What a dump. Well, you're going to be sorry, Mummy, because see, one day when I'm a big girl, I'm going to go to Hollywood. And I'm going to marry Clark Gable.
I don't care. Let the whole world stop. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Gable, you'll always be the tops, 'cause you know you made me love you.
Now, my father was an electrician to trade. He was a wireless fixer, an odd job man, and a panel flusher. My father would take perfectly good doors. He would flush them with hardboard. She's good, aye. He would paint them, and then he would grind them to make them look like real wood. Her father's a panel flusher as well. Oh, and he'd all the patterns. He'd say, right, missus, do you want piranha pine or burr walnut? And you'd get, is this the man that flushes your panels? Would you ask him if he'd come up and do my lobby doors? Or you'd get, my mommy says, could your daddy come up and do a wee job for her in the toilet? And my father, he was also the local expert stippler. Well, you know, nowadays they say, oh, we're ragging the walls, we're rag-rolling the walls. In our day, it was stippling. That's right, stippling. Now, you see, in those days, wallpaper was in short supply because of the war. In fact, they didn't even have paint. They had a substance called distemper. And, I mean, Dulux was a thing of the future. We didn't even have those big dogs in Denison. That make hadn't been invented, it was just the wee dogs, you see. Now, my father would get a pot of custard yellow distemper, right? And he would paint the woman's walls yellow, and then he would get a pot of pink distemper. Now, we're talking decor here. And then he would get a pair of somebody's old holy knickers, you see. And he would dip the holy knickers into the pink distemper. And he'd go, chook, 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 chook. Chook, chook, chook. Now, the pattern that emerged in the wall was determined by the distribution of holes in the knickers. But he was a very clever man, my father. And you know, I learned a lot about science and the future from my father. And my father learned a lot about science and the future from American comics. And we are not talking Bob Hope and Jack Benny here. We are talking Captain Marvel and Superman. Oh, I can see it yet. A Saturday night. And my daddy and I would walk along Duke Street to the top of Abercrombie Street at Belgrove. And we'd go into the second-hand bookshop and we'd get a big pile of second-hand American comics. We'd walk back along Duke Street and we would get ice cream and ginger out the Rendy's Booze Cafe. Could life hold more? Daddy, who was Einstein? Einstein, hen, Einstein. My father always said everything twice, you see. No, he says, he was the man, hen, that thought up their theory of relativity. What's relativity, Daddy? I will explain that to you, hen. I'll explain that to you, see. No, tell you what it is. You know how we go back and forth, right? See? Well, with your relativity, you see, you go back and forth at the speed of light till you reach the fourth dimension. What's the fourth dimension, Daddy? Ah, well, that's where your relativity comes in, you see. You go back and forth at the speed of light till you reach the fourth dimension, and then you go up, down, and sideways. It's as good an explanation as I've ever heard, mind you. But you know, in those days, if you were born or lived the 40s or 50s, you were born a little bit deprived, a little bit depressed, and just a tiny wee bit prejudiced. Oh, you couldn't help it. It was in your DNA, for God's sake. And you know, in those days, women had to be good looking. They didn't get any help. Skincare. We'd never heard of it. The only skincare we knew about was gentian violet for ringworm. Psychology. Had never heard of it. If you needed your head examined, it was because you had fits. You got out the wee bone comb, you know. But we did have 2 choices of perfume. We had Californian poppy and evening in Paris. It was like a night in the midden, oh God. And I mean, we never went to the hairdresser. Never went to the hairdresser. I mean, maybe once every 2 years you went into the town, you know, for a wee Marcel wave, you know. I know I don't look old enough to remember this, you know. But we were very lucky because we had a man lived along the road from us in Barrack Street called That Willie King. And that Willie King, he used to do perms in his own home at night. He was a gas fitter during the day. Which is true. You couldn't make this up, for God's sake. And he did perms in his home at night, see? So my mother and her 5 sisters, they would go along to that Willie King, see? They'd go in at 6 o'clock, they'd come out at 1 o'clock in the morning, their faces all red, dying for a cup of tea and 2 aspirin. I'm never going back to that Willie King again. I'm never going back to him. He pulls the heat off you, so he does. God, all that carry on for a wee curl. There wasn't any curl. It was what the hairdressers call a straight frizz. It looked as though Willie King had given them a cut and blowtorch. I'm never going back to that Willie King again, and I'm going to tell him that tomorrow when he comes back to fix that gas cooker. But you know, it was a hard life. It was a hard life for women in those days. And it was just a constant round of queuing, cooking, shopping, half a pun of mince cut thin. And then as women got older, a great pastime was talking about their illnesses. Now I remember a Thursday night. Now my mother would have spent the whole day doing a big baking. And then she'd have her 5 sisters up for their high tea. And the high tea consisted of half a lettuce leaf, half a tomato, and a slice of boiled ham. And my mother, she always had lovely china. And you could see the pattern of the plate through the boiled ham. So they would have their high tea, and then they would eat all the fancies, every one of them. And my Auntie Lizzie, she would say, that was a lovely apple cake, mate. Get a couple of your ennies there, Henny. And my mother would say, play Lily Bells on the piano, Dorothy. Let the aunties see how you're getting on with your practice. Bloody terrible. Look at the size of that wound. Look at the size of that wound. See that? The doctor said he had to take a lot more away than he first thought. Aye, that's her feet I've let her down again, eh? Oh, I'm no used to her now, no. No, it's feet anyway. Well, going to stop playing that bloody piano and you're keeping me a serpent. Let the aunties see how you're getting on with your tap dancing. She's just at the 2 quarters at the Sunshine School of Dancing. She's no got the hang of it yet. I'm no sure she's built for it, you know. Mum. Happy feet. I've got those happy feet. I've got... Mummy, I forgot the words. Never mind the singing, go on with the bloody dancing. Wanting the Wayne to hear this, you know. But you know her up the road that had the... She had the 6, you know. And then she had the it's. Well, that's her in again. Had it all taken away. Look at the size of that. My specialist, professor, says in all the years he's been doing this operation, he's never seen a gallstone that size. Well, my professor, a consultant, he says, your gallstone's small, but my God, you're gravel. Oh my God, I've dropped it. Hen, run under that sideboard and see if you can see your auntie's gallstone. Oh my God, I hope it's not chipped. The woman up the road from me, she had hers polished and mounted. Had a lovely brooch made out of it. They had to send my specimen down to London. What, aye? And you know her up the road that got her teeth out? You do know her. She'd all her teeth out and a new sink put in. And then her floor collapsed. Oh no, no, her kitchen floor. Her pelvic floor. Oh, she'd have it all pulled up or dried up. Well, it was a big operation. Aye. Well, now she's got the bunions. And I'm talking bunions. Oh, she'll never be out the slippers now, no. I saw her shuffling along Duke Street the other day. Poor wee soul. I met her outside the city bakeries, you know. And I says to her, she wasn't looking well. No, she wasn't looking well. I says, how are you keeping? Oh, Hen, could he stop that bloody dance? You're making your Auntie Lizzie dizzy. Oh, God, Lizzie, what's that she's doing? Now, look at that. She's putting the pink bows in the tap shoes, wee soul. I think she's getting into the display in the lyric next year. She's got no chance. She's never got out of that big baruka. Now, I was talking earlier about the wee bit of prejudice. Now, when women got together, there was always that wee air of prejudice, hovering, ever hovering in the air. I brought her up last week. Nice enough, lassie. Goes to the university, very proper spoken. I says, what did you say your name was again, Hen? She says, Teresa Riley. I says, oh, I says, and did you go to the same school as your John? She says, no. I says, oh, I says, what school was it you went to, Hen? She says, the Immaculate Conception. I says, well, he's no turning. But you know that cousin, he married that lovely girl. The children were happy, they were happy, the family was happy. But that's what I like about the Glasgow folk. Even our bigots are open-minded. Mind you, hopefully that sort of prejudice is all a thing of the past now, eh? Well, that was... But you know, in those days we had two social orders. We had the church and the cooperative. Now you got married in the church and the reception was held in the cooperative hall. And you'd hear people say, it's a lovely parve. What did you get? You could write the script yourself. Steak pie, potatoes. Well, actually, I think it was Jewish peas. I think it was because the wee waitress should have the wee black frock and the wee white pinny. and she'd do the silver service, and she'd say, Jewish peas. I used to always wait for that bit. I loved that. But you know, every area had its own cooperative hall. And there was always something happening every night of the week. Now, on a Monday, it was Scottish country dancing for the sensible folk, you know. Awful jolly, you know. And he'd have the kilts on with the pins in it. That was just the women, you know. And the wee soft shoes for doing the skittish and all that. And then the leader would say, now, say it to your partners and 35. You're doing well. And travel. Put a smile in it. And then on a Tuesday night, that was the League of Health and Beauty for Sensible Young Women. Come on now, girls. Morag, come on, straighten your humps. The window, stretch to the door. Up to the ceiling and down to the floor. Right, come on now, girls. Get your ropes out. I think you're going to be in the finals. Very good now. To the side. Don't forget to breathe now. There was always a very good skipper. And then a Wednesday night, that was the wrestling for the fine big boys, the sensible young men. And on a Thursday night, that was the mother's night. That was the Women's Guild. And the cookery class run by the minister's wife, Mrs. Macmillan. She was awful for jink, you know. She lived in an up and downstairs house. Now, ladies, now we're going to keep up the same theme. Cookery for housewives and tight rations. Now, ladies, I'm going to demonstrate. In fact, I'm going to give you a wee surprise tonight. A wee surprise. It was, I'm going to show you something that puts a smile in the Reverend Macmillan's face every time he sees it. Do you know what I'm talking about? A wee tapioca pudding. Now, do you know, there was one night, it was quite funny, really. One night, the Reverend Macmillan, he had an awful bad cold in his chest. He wouldn't eat his tapioca pudding. So I just clapped it in his chest for a poultice. It cleared it up in no time. It's quite amusing, really. Anyway, ladies, now, tonight I'm going to show you how to make 6 nourishing meals out of a sheep's head. Do you know that my mother was feeding us beautiful Scotch broth for years? And then one night she says, do you know I always make that with a sheep's head? That was it, we never ate it again. Oh, but then, a Friday night, that was the night you cleaned the stairs and washed your hair. You remember that one? Because that was another aspect of tenement life. Because women were very particular about their stairs. It's like a status symbol, you know, because they would do it all down with pipe clay. Now, for the young ones, that was a sort of like a chalky substance, And they did it all down and made it lovely and clean. And if you had an outside toilet, that was always scrubbed absolutely clean. In fact, I used to clean the stairs for my mother. And when I started to get, you know, a wee bit famous and was earning quite good money and had my own car and that, you know, I said to my mother, do I still have to clean the stairs? She says, aye, but you'll no need the 2 shillings now. But you know, a lot of famous actors live up a close. Now, there was one actress, Effie Morrison. You may remember her. She played the district nurse in the original Dr. Finlay's Casebook. And she was a lovely person. Now, she lived up a close in a room and kitchen and an outside toilet in Partick. And she told me this story. I mean, there were 8 families in the close, you see. They would all take their turn of the stairs. But there was always one dirty bitch. You know, always one that didn't take their turn, you see. And this is what happened. Now, this nice wee clean woman, you see, and she'd done down all the stairs, the outside toilet was all disinfected, and she scrubbed that toilet seat till it was white. And then she thought to herself, you know, I could save myself work here if I varnished that seat. So she painted it with a kind of creosote kind of stuff, you see. Now, she just went into her house to get a sign that said, wet paint. She wasn't quick enough because the dirty bitch ran into the toilet, sat down, and stuck fast. Oh, what the hell's going on here? Could you get up? The nice wee woman said, oh, she says, I'm very sorry. Oh, no. All the neighbours came out. They tried to pull her off that seat. The woman was stuck. Now, the green lady came up the stairs. The sort of district nurse health visitor, you see. So she says, well, there's only one thing I can think of. She says, if we got a wee bit of butter, we could maybe ease it round a wee bit, you know. Half a pun of butter and that woman was still stuck to the seat. Now, fortuitously, it was a Friday. And this woman's husband worked in the local shipyards. And he came home at 4:30 with the tools. He says, well, there's only one thing I can think of, Hen. He says, we'll have to unscrew the seat. Take you down to the Western Infirmary. And have it removed surgically. So he unscrewed the seat, you see. They put a blanket round her. There was a taxi waiting at the close. And the nice wee woman says, oh, she says, I'm awful sorry. She says, sorry. Don't give me your sorry, she says. But I'll tell you something. This is no coming off my arse till the factor sees it. And of course, the rest of the neighbours, they said, see, that's her. Now the rains are falling, hear that choo-choo blowing, ooh-wee. My mama told me, hear that lonesome whistle, blowing down the trestle. My mama told me, ah, woo-wee, da woo.
She taught me to sing the blues. Do you know what my mother would say right now? See, that's you.
You're always drawing attention to yourself.